Right, so welcome to another BrainWorks education video. And today we're doing topic 8 of civic education, titled Civil Society and Media in Governance. So this isn't media in governance, but it's media in governance. So this is topic 8, and I think by the end of May, we have to start focusing on past papers. So June heading towards July, August, October will only be doing past papers so that you have the right materials that are needed for you to actually pass your examination. So the word civil and society, a place in which citizens live in and a place in which those citizens can actually be productive. And the word civil means relating to an ordinary citizen and their concerns about governance or the society in which they live in. Remember, we are targeting towards good governance because people need to be in a state where they can actually be productive, contributing to those factors of good governance as well as good citizenship. If you want more information on the topic of governance and characteristics of good governance, I encourage you to watch the lecture video or the class video rather on governance. So civil society, these are non-military or non-governmental organizations. Remember, like I said, it's relating to ordinary citizens that make it their business to defend and promote the ideals of good governance. No wonder this topic comes way after governance systems in Zambia, because you have to know what good governance is. Governance being the way people are ruled by the constitution in a society. So what are some of the features of a civil society? Remember, it has to be a non-profit, so non-profit making. In contrast to entrepreneurship, remember entrepreneurs are people that take risks, develop business ideas, and their ultimate goal is to generate profit. So that's called entrepreneurship. But these civil societies, their mandate is not to run as entrepreneurship business ventures. Their mandate is to use all profits generated in order for them to achieve their aims and visions in line with their mission statement as well as their vision statement. So all profits that are generated through various donor activities are not there to generate more profit, but they are there to actually achieve their vision statements and mission statements in line with their objectives. So these civil societies are non-profit generating. I want you to understand that. Draws membership from formal and informal organizations and associations. So they are not just formal. They are not just formal. They seek they seek membership from all different types of organizations, be it schools, be it legal firms, be it religious organizations. So they draw these memberships from different organizations as well as associations. Shapes its own nature and needs and interests. So these civil societies act independently, so they shape their own nature, needs, as well as interests, draw support from well-wishers, such as donors and other institutions. So remember, like I said, be it non-profit, it means they still have to generate capital to finance their projects that are aimed at good governance. So where does all that money come in? It comes from donors, well-wishers, as well as other institutions. So these are some of the features of civil society that I want you to know. The first one being their major aim is not to make profit. So it's not profit making. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen. So what are some of the classifications of civil societies if you were to group civil societies in Zambia? Civil society in Zambia can be classified into various types of groups. The first being your worldwide renowned international organizations. These are organizations that have a wide range of influence. So their influence is not localized to, let's say, Zambia, but their influence spans across the sub-Sahara as well as overseas. So these have a wider influence. Examples being women in law and development, women in law in Southern Africa, Transparent International Zambia, a very big organization. So you've seen international organization based on influence. Then you also have pressure groups. So pressure groups are more localized because different regions, different countries have their own constitutions and their ideals of governance. So these are formed to influence government decisions like Oasis Forum, as well as Citizen Forum. So if an essay comes like this, make sure you at least know the characteristic description and at least 2 examples in each. Civil organizations, these are concerned with issues of human rights, civic education, as well as good governance. So it's a triad of objectives. Zambian Civic Education Association, because if you teach people civic education, you empower them, you make a more informed citizen. Anti-voter apathy program, National Movement Against Corruption. Women's groups, their aim is to promote and protect women's rights, because even in modern societies, some women's rights tends to be abused. So we still need to uphold the protection of gender neutrality, gender equality, gender equity. So we need representative civil societies to fight for women's rights, like Women for Change, National Women Lobby Group, Young Women's Christian Association of Zambia sometimes. We can also have professional associations. These may have different objectives because they're very professional associations. These are primarily formed by people in the same profession, such as teachers, miners, lawyers, health, among others. Law Association of Zambia, Women in Law and Development in Africa, Press Association of Zambia, Zambian Independent Media Association, Health Profession, Council of Zambia, so professional organization. And you know, for professionalism, the main hallmark for professionalism is the ability to go through tertiary education, acquire the skill, and embody the profession that you've been taught. That's the hallmark of professionalism. No wonder it's professional associations. Industrial organizations. These are formed by people in the same industry. Remember, like I said, for what the word professional means, industrial, it's also specific to the type of industry that's involved. So these are formed by people in the same industry, such as the education industry, like school, mining industry, local government. And a few examples are trade unions, Zambian Consumer Association, Zambian National Farmers Association, Zambian Association of Manufacturers. So again, their mission statements and vision statements may be different, but they all intersect in good governance. be it a professional system or an industrial system, or a religious organization, which is the 7 classification of civil society. So religious organizations, these are organizations that are formed by Christian churches among other religions. So it's not just Christian, but a spectrum of religious practices, like the Hindu Association of Zambia, Islamic Association of Zambia, Council of Churches in Zambia, and Young Women's Christian Association. So remember, some of these groups can fall into 2 categories, like Young Women's Christian Association is both a women's group as well as a religious organization. So remember this essay. You can classify them, give at least 2 examples, know the hallmarks of each category of civil society in Zambia. Or not in Zambia, but just of civil societies, although the examples were primarily Zambian. So what are the roles of civil societies? The first role has been introduced in the introduction, and it should be the first thing that comes to your head when you hear the word civil society, which is the ideal, the objective to defend the ideas of democracy and good governance. Carry civic education activities through sensitization and public awareness. What are human rights? What are political systems? What's a multi-party system? What is good governance? I keep on mentioning this, but if you empower citizens with knowledge of civic education, citizens are going to be empowered and they are going to make better political decisions, be it being in the suburban area, like, modern areas like in Lusaka, or in villages. Influence public opinion through advocacy. Advocacy meaning you are standing for one specific thing. You are trying to advocate, whether be it women's rights, you are doing that advocacy. So you have that public influence and opinions. Debates, bills, and influence amendments or decisions of the legislature. Acts as an agent for democratic change, promote and defend human rights and the rule of law. Remember, no one's above the law. Ensures that governments and other people in authority are accountable. Remember, one of the characteristics of good governance was transparency as well as accountability. Act as a link or a chaperone between the people as well as the government, so as an intermediate, because as citizens, we are living in a bureaucratic society, so you just can't walk into a minister or a presidential office because of that red tape and bureaucratic nature of the society that we're living in. But through civil society representation, your views can be heard through as them acting as links between the people as well as the government. Publicize and articulate public opinion, so they act as the voice of citizens. Although we have to be careful, because some civil societies can actually change the views of the people and leads to something called propaganda as well as fake news. Requirements for establishing a civil society. So let's say you're an ordinary citizen, because civil means relating to ordinary citizens and their concerns. So what are some of the requirements that you can use as an ordinary citizen to establish a civil society? So you have to be able to have accept opposing views. So citizens who accept opposing views, you are not easily influenced. You want to question You want to question authority. You want to challenge authority in a legal way, of course. So citizens who accept opposing views are favorable laws which permit and allow the establishment of civil societies. So this has to be in line with a good democratic country system. Civil societies may not exist in a country with a dictatorship sort of government because citizens' rights won't be respected. A government which is tolerant and divergent opinion of minority groups. So in as much as we are in a democratic society, we also need a flexible government whose ego is not subject to opinions. So you have to have a tolerant government. Proactive population. Proactive means the ability to put in stepping stones that prevent future failures. So proactive before something bad happens. So proactive population which is ready to participate in community as well as national activities. So existence of specific problems. Remember, in order for you to provide an aim or a specific objective for your civil society and have those measurable objectives as you are achieving your aims and goals, you first have to identify the problem. Is there a problem in the society that I'm living in? If you've identified that problem, then you can actually make a civil society to combat that problem that you've observed in the governmental society, in the civil society that you are living in. So citizen participation in governance. This is the involvement of people in decision-making process. So citizen participation, though it may sound self-explanatory, but we need to delve in a little bit. It's part of good characteristics of a good citizen. So involvement of people in decision-making process, very important. There are 3 ways by which a citizen can participate in government activities. The first one, be it political activity. You have to be involved in politics. So this involves a person participating in voting, contesting in political office, attending a political meeting, among others. If your religion doesn't, I know certain religions like maybe Jehovah's Witnesses don't encourage people to vote, but that doesn't mean you can't take part in other political affairs like, attending meetings, having influence. So civil society activities. This can be a person joining a civil society or attending seminars, reading posters and materials, and participating in legal demonstrations and governance issues, the advocacy that we've been talking about, as well as community activities, localize it to your local communities. This is where a person attends community meetings such as, PTA meetings or molding bricks for a community school. So, community activity. So let's now talk about women participation in governance, because remember, I think we still live in a male-dominated world, and it's sort of moving towards equity. And that equity has been made possible by women participation in governance. There are certain factors that have contributed to less participation of women in governance. So we talk about the downside first. Why there are less women participating in governance? The first thing is, culture. Women shouldn't take part in decision making. Their role is in the kitchen, raising kids and preparing food for their spouses. Male economic dominance, I mentioned this at the beginning. This is a situation where some female candidates have failed to campaign due to limited finance, and males have taken dominance over the situation. So we need more economic empowerment of women. And Zambian statistics actually has proven that males, there are more richer males than women, unless if they are hiding their money in the process. So lack of solidarity among women. So this has contributed due to the fact that most women do not believe in their fellow women. Although this lack of solidarity is now diminishing with the upcoming movements of feminism. So political discrimination. A political party committee is responsible for adopting candidates, and these are dominated by men. And this makes it very difficult to adopt a female candidate, although I would challenge this and actually say women can actually form a female-led political party, women's only political party, due to the coming of this feminism movement. The significance of citizen participation. Without citizen participation, in the following can happen: poor governance, lack of accountability. Policies may go unchecked. People remain ignorant on government policies and intentions. Government leaders may be elected by a minority group. We need a majoritarian system of governance. So that's all for civil society. And I can see we're missing page 34, and we're going to try to bridge that gap with past paper revision on media. So if we encounter questions on media, we'll try to bridge that gap and answer the questions using the research methods that I'm going to show you when we do the past paper revision. So media, the word media simply means medium, meaning to go between, but media is highly connected with communication and the delivery of that information. So media therefore refers to all technical devices used to disseminate information to the public. That's the word I was with. Disseminate. Sometimes the lousy accent kicks in. Mass media therefore refers to the different means of delivering information to people, be it in the form of electronic media or print media, although print media is actually media on paper. And we're now moving in a world where everything is digital, everything is electronic, radio, TV, and with the upcoming of the internet. So we are now going towards the digital era and getting rid of print media. So print media, this is the type of media that depends on printed materials to deliver information to the public. For example, the Post newspaper, Times of Zambia, National Mirror, Daily Mail, and Sunday Times. Like I said, most of these print media companies are now moving to daily subscriptions of a digital newspaper. So we're moving away from print media to electronic media because print media is not necessarily good for the environment. All right. So the next topic will be economic and social development, which is a very long topic. Like I said, for media, we just have to bridge the gap with past papers. This digital copy was missing a page. It's gone from page 34 there. It's missed, it skipped a page. So we'll bridge this gap through past paper revisions. But for now, focus on the topic civil society. Study very hard. Your exams are around the corner. Thank you very much. This has been Brainworks Education.